Welcome to Smart 24 TV. This is the Be Your Best show with Julius Torach, your life coach. Today we are at Refactory, and we'll get to understand what they do here and also how they contribute to national development. To help us understand what goes on here and other issues pertaining to job trends in the era of the fourth industrial revolution, I request my guest to introduce himself.
Thank you, Julius, for the opportunity to share with you. Michael Niyitegeka, the director at Refactory, and like Julius did mention to you, we are involved in a couple of initiatives here that are geared towards preparing people for the world of work in very many ways.
Okay, tell us more about Refactory. What really is it? A factory of sort? What is it?
So Refactory, we primarily focus on preparing people for the world of work in the tech space. And also in the tech space or tech industry, we currently focus on software engineering as a practice area. And the name Refactory really comes from, any software engineer would know the principle called refactoring. And refactoring is where you get a piece of code and use it for other purposes, or repurpose it, if I could put it that way. So as we're trying to find a name that is suitable for what we're doing here, we decided to add the Y to refactor. And so that's how Refactory comes into place. But primarily we refactor human resource, because we get anybody who has a passion in software engineering but has not had the opportunity to go to mainstream schools or universities that teach software engineering, to go through an experience that then equips them with the skills to go ahead and work in the software engineering industry. We've been running this for coming to 4 years now, and I would say close to maybe over 50% of our applicants don't have a background in software engineering, have never studied software engineering, have not been to any IT school. There are people who choose and purpose to say, I think I can do something in software engineering. And so they come through our program that has been crafted in a way that those who go through it at the end of 3 to 9 months will have the skill and can apply the skill.
Now, there is normally complaint about our graduates and other from either universities or tertiary institutions not being ready for the world of work.
Sure.
What could be some of the causes of this?
There are a number of factors, Julius. And the first is who is teaching. Because you see, it's very difficult to give what you don't have. If you've not worked in a typical industry setting, it's very difficult for you to train me, to prepare me for that world of work. And I guess universities need to be true to themselves and restructure their own structures. That if you're going to skill people, it would be prudent that on your teaching staff, you also have people that are really best in industry, who may not have the academic qualifications to teach, but have the skill to pass on. I know that making sense.
Yes.
Now, and that nomenclature has to change. And that's where it all really begins. So if you look at how curricula is taught, if you look at a transcript and you see the modules, you would imagine that the student is ready to run. When you interact with this student, you then begin to see that probably these things are largely conceptual, but they don't understand the application of the concept. And it's very difficult for you to help me apply if you've never applied.
More of theory.
Yes, so it's easy for you to show me, yeah, this is how it runs. But if you've never gotten to use it and work with it, then it will be very difficult for you to transmit that. That's one of the things. The second thing is that a significant chunk of our content is not context appropriate. And I'll give the example. So if you look at computing curricula world over, the Association of Computing Machinery did do a study and came up with a computing curricular framework. And they came up with 5 disciplines in computing: computer engineering, computer science, software engineering, information technology, information systems. And they said your computing space is defined by 5 practice areas. Now, if you look at the US, each of these 5 practice areas are well-established industries. Go to systems, very well established. Go to information technology, very well established. Go to software engineering, well established. Computer science, well established. Industries. When you come and implement that same framework in our market, it collapses.
Why?
Because these industries don't exist.
What do we have?
Everybody who finishes any IT-related program converges into software engineering or the practice of software engineering. They all become coders. Before, maybe 5 years ago, we had quite a number of people ending up in systems admin, networks.
Yeah.
That is significantly changing with the cloud computing offering. So your cloud, your system admin now has to quickly upgrade and become a cloud engineer. Because they no longer have servers that they are dealing with. You no longer have a lot of cabling running over offices. You have Wi-Fi networks that have been established. Whereas the principles are the same, but the practice has slightly changed. Why? Because a lot of the applications you're running with are cloud-based applications. So there needs to be a reconfiguration of your systems admin.
So how can that be done?
Exactly. So these are some of the things that we need to be cognizant with. That this person's role has shifted and shifted massively.
Is our curriculum attuned to that?
Probably not. Probably not. Because what needs to happen would be a significant chunk of traditional systems computing or systems engineer, whatever it is, to now focus on where is the cloud moving. I attempted to reconfigure, wrote with Clark International University, who are our partners, and submitted a program to National Council of Higher Education that appreciated how our industry is structured here and where the trends are. My opinion, there are 3 major trends in Uganda or in sub-Saharan Africa. One is infrastructure. It's a big, big space. 2 is enterprise, building applications and systems for enterprise. 3 is business.
Elaborate.
Now, if you look at infrastructure, when you see places like data centers, the data centers that are coming up in this market, the one that was recently commissioned in Namanve, Raxio, and then government setting up data centers, different companies beginning to provide private data spaces. Infrastructure is going to be a big thing in our investment plan, either as businesses or as government. There's no doubt about that. Now, what that means is that we are going to need people who understand infrastructure, broadly speaking. And we need that level of expertise. On the other hand, you go to enterprise development, a lot of us are building apps. But apps have a limitation. The real money is in enterprise systems. So how are we preparing people to build enterprise applications that are targeting business enterprises, farms, schools, hotels, manufacturing? So we need that level of caliber. And the third one is business. Business in a sense of how can we get, we need a cadre of people who understand technology and understand business. And we have to be very intentional about it. When I was still working at Makerere, I made an attempt to work with Uganda Telecom to set up technical sales program. Why? Because MTN came to us, UTL came to us. Do you have people who understand technology and sales? None.
Don't need to do programming and network.
Yes. The business guy doesn't understand the tech. And the tech guy doesn't understand the business.
Let me fast forward a little bit.
Yes.
What is Refactory doing? I know you have already mentioned some. If you can stretch a little bit, what is Refactory doing to help bridge that gap? Because you said you are preparing people for the world of work.
Yes. So we started with the foundations. The foundations was that you have an emerging software industry. Emerging in a sense that we saw entities like Candela come into the market and move. We saw companies like ThoughtWorks come into the market and move out. And one of the greatest challenges they had was beyond struggling to find work that fits their job profile, they're also struggling to find talent. And for me, that really challenged me. And so the first thing we attempted to do was to understand, what do employers look for when they are hiring junior developers? Because we didn't want to start from senior if you've not built the junior cadre. So we designed a program that really picks you from zero at the beginning, and we just don't focus on coding. We focus on also what we call life skills, because you're not just a code pusher. You're a human being working with other human beings. So the life skills, what everybody calls soft skills, which I find very strange, because they're not just soft. When you say soft, you make them feel like, yeah, jelly, they can pass by. But this is the glue that makes you effective in your workplace. So we focus on the technical and the non-technical. Take you through a period of 3 months, and at the 3 months, we introduce you to what it means to work in the software engineering industry. And not just introducing you, we teach you how to be part of the software engineering industry. After 3 months, there's an exit. If you feel like this is it, you're connected to it, we plug you in and take you to the next 6 months, which we call a boot camp. After, if you feel like this is not my calling, I think I now have a better appreciation of what it is all about, there's an exit for you. And we then help you to find jobs that help connect you. We've been running this for the last, like I said, 3.5 years now. We've trained over 350 people and have about close to 90% success rate in terms of placement in industry. The employers are not asking what degrees these guys have. The employers are not asking whether you have a 5-year experience because you're a junior. They're looking for junior developers. The employers are they are hiring our people. It's a few organizations that will insist you need to have a degree program. And mainly those are government entities or very structured entities that I haven't even I would say this, even the very structured entities like the banks, one of the banks waived that requirement for a degree because the person who was among the top performers at recruitment level didn't have a degree, and he's still working with them.
So your training covers, does it also take them through the three areas you mentioned, infrastructure,
No.
solution, business?
We don't. We focus on enterprise development, solutions development. So when they finish the first 3 months, they go into a 6 months boot camp. And the 6-month boot camp is where we get projects and challenges from industry that they work on. And these challenges are not theoretical. These are real challenges that a company X has. They work with the students, and the students deliver those challenges. At the end of the 6 months, we give you an MVP. But aligned to that, because we also know very well that there are very many people who want the degree programs, degree qualifications, we worked with Clark International University and set up a program called the Bachelor of Applied Computing Technology that addresses those 3 tracks. Because our intention was not to become a degree awarding institution, refactory. That's not our intention. Our intention is to bring you in. Maximum time with us is 9 months, 1 year. You should be able to run.
I know you have always been passionate about innovation.
Yes.
So how does that fit in what government is doing, the industry is doing, or maybe you can tell us a little bit more about the opportunities and constraints in promotion of innovation in the country?
So first of all, the first thing we decided, and very intentional, was not to brand ourselves as an innovation program, because there was a lot of hype and around innovation, and yeah, people would come up with apps that clearly are not brand new. We've seen them work elsewhere, but because probably they are the first in this country, well, not even in this country, yeah, they will be branded as innovation, and they will be given all the praise that you can think about. So the first thing we wanted to focus on is to take away people from that whole thing, innovation. Let's focus on getting you skilled. Because if you have the skill, you will solve the problem. So we are more attuned to problem solving than innovation. First solve the problem, and then think whether it is an innovation or not an innovation. How do we contribute to the whole government agenda? I think for me, there are largely 3 areas that I can think of how we are contributing. The first thing that we are addressing is unemployment. The 350 people that we have taken through our programs, I could say close to 95% were not employed. There are few that resign from their jobs. And the reason they are resigning is that they're not happy. They're not finding fulfillment in what they are doing. Otherwise, they wouldn't even take on our jobs, take on our programs. So we are addressing the issue of unemployment. 2 is we are significantly contributing to the digital economy. You can't talk about a digital economy. You can't talk about an economy without human resource. We talk about agriculture because we have farmers. You can't talk about a digital economy when you have 2, 3, 5 apps that you can talk about in the economy. Yes, government has done quite a lot of stuff, but a lot of the stuff that government has done may not be a significant revenue earner. We need to see private enterprises being able to supply those solutions and beyond the markets here. So we are contributing to the digital economy. The third piece that we are contributing, and it's becoming apparent that there's a huge demand for talent, is tapping into what I would call the business process outsourcing, or IT-enabled services outsourcing. COVID showed us that we can work anywhere for as long as you have access.
And anytime.
And anytime, thank you. And because of that, we're beginning to see expression of interest for talent from Nigeria, from Romania, from Kenya, from Rwanda. So countries are approaching us and asking us, do you have people that we can hire? Which means that we are not limited by geography. No, we are not. Last week we had a meeting here with somebody from Romania, and he was telling us we're more than happy to work with even companies in Uganda for them to supply us talent. So the opportunities are immense.
And the Japanese government is doing the same.
Yeah, the reason why I have been very intentional on setting up the way we set up is a lot of interventions that we've previously had in government or some of these donor partners have been short-term. So it's a 2-month program, it's a 3-month program, and it runs. There's no continuity. But we've done this for 4 years, close to 4 years. I can tell you, we're not about to close shop. Why? Because we are beginning to see other opportunities. Not long ago, we signed an MOU with a training partner from the US called Coding Dojo, and we're going to start offering data science. We're going to start offering blockchain. We're going to start offering UI, UX training programs. We're going to start offering, because now industry is saying there are also these gaps. We're not seeing enough UI, UX engineers. We're not seeing enough product development engineers. We're not seeing enough DevOps engineers. So all these programs, we're now just going to roll out. And our intention is to repurpose people and get them ready for the world of work.
Michael, you are really exciting me about all these things.
I'm glad I am.
Creating employment, business process outsourcing, it is well harnessed.
Yes.
Young people can employ themselves even at home.
Absolutely.
They don't have to go looking for jobs.
Exactly.
And now a lot of jobs are online.
Yes.
Probably something that can also be done is how do we bring these young people together and direct them and guide them of where the opportunities are. Because definitely we can't bring all of them under this roof to work here.
Absolutely.
And I think the opportunities are quite immense.
Yeah, so I've reached out to a gentleman who is running an outsourcing space out in Lira. And we want to set up a short 1-week training program preparing people on what it means to work online. Because it's a whole different work environment. The level of discipline it requires is top-notch.
So it takes us back to the issue of the soft skills.
Exactly. It is top-notch that I have this job, I promise to deliver it in 2 weeks, I must focus on this and nothing else. The Ugandan mentality is a hustle mentality. That I can get this, but if Julius comes with another opportunity, yes, Julius, I'm available. And at the end of it all, you just have a bunch of people who are just not productive. Why? Because they can never get one job through. So we want to pay attention to that because we see the opportunities. There are over 500,000 data science engineering jobs available globally. And that's just data science. Close to the same number in blockchain. Close to the same number in UI, UX. Like there are over 3 million jobs just in Africa, sub-Saharan Africa. What is it? IFC, International Finance Corporation, the part of the World Bank, did a study in sub-Saharan Africa and found that by 2030, over 230 million jobs will be digitized in sub-Saharan Africa. Of those 230 million jobs, 6.5 million jobs will be in the tech space. 2030 is 8 years away from now.
Not far.
Where are we? You have people coming out of university. The first question, if they are not going to work in the software industry, in the tech space, are they ready to work in a job that has been digitized?
I learned there are some universities where every admission, every new undergraduate has to take a short course in artificial intelligence. Irrespective of whether you're a lawyer, you're a doctor, doesn't matter, you have to do a course in your first year in artificial intelligence.
I'll probably start that every graduating student has to understand how the internet works before we go to artificial intelligence. That's number one. Number two, every graduating student in any university, any college, must have the confidence to use PowerPoint, Excel, Word. At the minimum, Julius, it's heartbreaking to meet a university student who can't use an email.
You can't even type a letter.
Okay, now that's even more complicated. They can't format a letter. I just can't process it. But that's the reality. You get somebody and you say, please send me an email. They send you an email. You're like, wait a minute. So are you ready for the digitized work environment? You are not.
So are you addressing also issues of communication skills?
Yeah, for the people that go through our program.
Yes.
Because one of the things we've come also to appreciate is that we can't solve the world's problems. We have to be very specific. And let me tell you, Julius, every time I share about what we are doing, I met a friend of mine who runs a number of coffee shops and says, Michael, I have seen what you're doing. Can I bring you my managers? And I'm like, what do you want me to do with them? He says, just help them to understand process, tools, productivity tools, that they can be better supervisors if they had focus on key things.
I think the other element of business.
Yes.
Michael, I think I see opportunity.
Absolutely.
Which you should not lock yourself up in this building.
Yes.
There's a lot of opportunity out there. People
Yes.
want your services. So probably, actually the country needs your services. Because when you're talking about creating of employment in the tech space,
Yes.
Including business process outsourcing and other IT-enabled services, first of all, preparing the young people to have that mindset of productivity,
Yes.
of excellence, of being able to deliver work on time,
Mm-hmm.
and actually keeping their word. Because you're not going to tell somebody out there that you lost someone, and that's the reason why you didn't deliver on time. Or because it rained.
Yeah.
That's why you didn't deliver on time.
Yeah.
So mindset change is a critical thing for us to really focus on.
And for me, Julius, it goes beyond mindset. It goes to helping people know how to. So giving people some tools. We've run outreach sessions here where we're teaching people how to use Google, or what we call the G Suite, your Gmail, that your Gmail has a calendar, that your Gmail has certain tools that can help you become smarter in how you're doing. So for me, mindset without tools and skills is a waste. Because it's like you're preaching to me, please go, if you do the following thing, things will happen. No. You need to be very intentional. And that's why for me, I was very clear when we were starting this refactory program or this initiative, that we're not going to be just talk. Talk must be accompanied by skill and tools. The unfortunate bit, there's a program that has run in this country called Enterprise Development, where we've run so many workshops, inviting thousands of people, exposing them to how to begin a business. How many businesses do we have running? but it was about unlocking mindset, showing people that you can start with one hen and they will become 10, 20, 30, 40. But that's, you're taking me through a class. Show me. How do I start?
Michael will pick up from there. Viewers, we are having a very interesting discussion here with Mr. Michael Tibika, Director at Refactory. We wish to take a short break, and our discussion will continue with our discussion on emerging trends in the job market in the era of the fourth industrial revolution. We'll try to break it down further in the next session. Don't go out.